The climate crisis. Humanity has not faced anything like this. Despite our best and most noble efforts, we're losing. Incremental improvements are simply proving insufficient. Behaviour change alone is not enough. We're not thinking big enough. The climate crisis is systemic in nature. It requires structural solutions for us to be able to combat it. Too often, structural changes are viewed as sacrificial rather than beneficial. We focus on what we have to lose rather than what we stand to gain. However, that is not how we win this fight. I love advertising. Is that cool to say? Am I allowed to say that? I get to be strategic some days, I get to be creative other days, and some people give me a stage to talk on. Yet when it comes to the climate crisis, we lose that confidence and we lose that swagger that we should have when we're taking on a challenge like this. Because I'm here to tell you that there is a hell of an opportunity in a hell of a crisis. That is why I believe the climate crisis is advertising's biggest opportunity, if only we take it. If we seize that opportunity, we can restore our credibility in wider society, we can attract and retain the very best of talent, and we can create even better work, more work that we're proud of. Now that task is definitely not easy. It's going to require so much hard work. It's going to require collective action that we're not used to. And it's going to require radical ideas that's going to make us feel uncomfortable. But luckily, I believe the strategy is simple. There's 3 tasks we need to deliver on. There's always 3 tasks to deliver on. There are some things that we must stop, there are some things we must slow, and there are some things we must start. Alliteration always helps. So, I'm going to start with what we need to stop. Lawyers. They're clever bastards, and they're coming for us. Globally, there is an exponential rise in climate litigation. What that means is civil lawsuits being brought against companies and governments for failing to protect the planet. In fact, the French government recently banned fossil fuel advertising. That was in direct response to having been sued the year prior for failing to protect the planet. So, when we see Greenpeace protest in Cannes, we see the clean creatives publishing the F list, and we see brandalism calling out individual agencies, we have to ask ourselves how long before they sue one of our agencies. Because those clever bastards aren't going after McDonald's with their big budgets. They could go after an agency. The purpose disruptors are telling us about the difference between operational emissions and the emissions that are driven as a result of the sales uplift we do. To counter that, I think we need to think about an element of self-preservation. Economists are saying the most effective strategy is taxation, levies. We need financial guardrails in place across all industries. So what does that look like for advertising? I'm proposing the answer is a carbon levy, applied as mandatory across the whole industry, weighted scientifically on a business's individual emissions. Simply put, the more you pollute, the more you have to pay to advertise. This way of redistributing share of voice is going to flip the scales in our industry. Remember, this is self-preservation to do this. Self-regulation is always preferable to a regulation being imposed upon us. If the lawyers are coming, we have to get our our house in order first. We need to stop our dependence on the short-term wealth provided by high-emitting clients and think about the long-term health of our industry. Second, we really should slow down. We go very fast. In 1970, the average person was exposed to approximately 1,000 adverts every single day. By conservative estimates, that number today is about 10,000. To put that into context, you've got 12 TED Talks a day. Imagine if you had 120 to sit through. Don't groan. We're effectively bombarding people with messages. That bombardment, that pursuit of more rather than less, is leading to an attention crisis in our industry. Ross, you with us? Ross is with us, yeah, good. It's leading to huge waves of media wastage. And it's leading to a generation brought up with ad blockers and viewing advertising as a nuisance. Now, ultimately, to combat that, we should think about this simple formula. It's an inconvenient truth for our industry to acknowledge, but more advertising simply leads to more consumption, which leads to more emissions. Not only does that have a planetary impact, but we're all burning ourselves out doing this. Instead, the challenge becomes for us is about reframing our industry, about premiumizing our product offering. This is in our self-interest to do this. We should take a collective, long-term approach to move from advertising as being high volume but low in value to one that is lower in volume but higher in value. That's pretty radical. Everything's moving in the opposite direction, but we need counterintuitive thinking to deliver on this. I think it's important to note that when we can't hope to outpace the climate crisis, we need to look how to outslow it. I've probably slowed down a little bit too much there, actually. Am I all right for time? Yeah, I'm doing, hang on. Yeah, I'm doing all right.
9 minutes.
I'm 9 minutes, great.
Yeah.
I just checked my phone, don't worry. So on my phone has neodymium, it has europium, and it has terbium. Are you impressed? Very impressed? Now, these are 3 of the rarest materials in the world. It's becoming increasingly expensive to acquire these new materials. It's the reason, when my phone breaks, Kevin Bacon wants it back. He wants it back because it's cheaper to get neodymium from me than it is to get it from China. And that same logic is being applied to other industries, white goods, cars, fashion. There's a shift happening. The tectonic plates of economics are shifting beneath us. And we have to acknowledge what that means. We are seeing a shift from a linear style economy of make, use, dispose to one more circular in nature, from make, use, return, make, use, return. It makes business sense as much as it makes planetary sense. Now that is going to require us to subtly think about how our industry is positioned. No longer marketing just to audiences, being business-led, having occasional audience insight, and prioritising profit over planet and people. Instead, we need to think about marketing with, so close collaboration between audiences and businesses. Audiences need to be have an active role within the planning process, and profits need to be balanced with planet and people. The advertising economic theories that we are all very familiar with operate here. The linear lads of Binet, Field and Sharp operate on this side. We should be thinking about circularity and Zoe Scarman on the right. As we see this transition, we need to think about how we can start to market with audiences for the future. So, I said the strategy would be simple. I said that there would be 3 tasks. That first, we need to stop our dependence on high carbon clients as a matter of self-preservation with the introduction of a carbon levy. Secondly, we need to think long-term and slow our industry down to reduce consumption and give ourselves space to create better work for a better world. And finally, we need to start that transition to more of a circular economy, to market with audiences rather than to them, for all of our betterment. So that leads me, and hopefully I have started to convince you, that I believe that the climate crisis is advertising's greatest opportunity. What the hell are we waiting for?